So in today's video, we're going to talk about prime and composite numbers. So let's start with prime numbers. Prime numbers are numbers that only have the factors of 1 and itself. So this is the reason why we focus so much on factors for a while at the beginning of the year, because it has a lot to do with being able to decide if a number is prime or composite. So a prime number, again, is a number that only has factors that are 1 and itself. So, for example, the only factors of the number 23 are 1 times 23. There are no other numbers that can multiply together to make 23. So that means that 23 is a prime number. Some other examples of prime numbers are 3. So 3's only factors are 1 and 3. There are no other numbers that can multiply together to make 3. Another one is 17. The only factors of 17 are 1 and 17. You can't multiply any other two numbers together to make the number 17. So 17 is a prime number. So now let's talk about composite numbers. Since prime numbers are numbers that only have factors of 1 in itself, you can probably guess that composite numbers are numbers that have more factors than just 1 in itself. So for example, 16 is a number that has 5 different factors. 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. 1, 16, 2, 8, and 4 are all factors of 16. So that means that 16 is a composite number. A composite number has many different factors other than just 1 in itself. So some other examples of composite numbers are 24. 24 is a lot of factors, right? The factors of 24 are 1, 24, 2, 12, 4, 6, 8, and 3. So 24 is definitely a composite number. 15 is a composite number because its factors are 1, 3, 5, and 15. And 12 is another composite number because its factors are 1, 2, 6, 3, 4, and 12. So these numbers all have multiple factors. They have different numbers that can multiply together to make that number. So they're composite. So if you look at this screen, you can see the difference. If you even just look at the examples, you can see the difference here. So prime numbers, their factors are only 1 in itself. So 3's factors are 1 and 3 because only 1 times 3 can make 3. 17 again, only factors are 1 in itself. But with composite numbers, there's multiple different factors. Okay, so let's say I'm going to exit the presentation really quick. So let's say I wanted to be able to decide whether 35, 27, and 19 are prime or composite. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is really just think to yourself, well, 35, what are the factors of 35? Well, I know that 1 times 35 makes 35, right? But do any other numbers multiply together to make 35? And of course, you can use your multiplication chart to help you, right? If you have your multiplication chart, you can kind of look in the middle section. So when I say the middle section, I mean like this whole area. Look in this whole area and see. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit to see. Oh, a little bit too much. Oh my gosh. Hang on. All right, that should be fine. Okay. So let's look at this, at the multiplication chart. Let's look at what we have here. Do you see the number 35 in this multiplication chart? And the answer is, I see it right here, right? You can find it right here where my mouse is, 35. So all I need to do is look to the left. I have 5, and then up top we have 7. So 5 times 7 makes 35. So I know that 5 times 7 makes 35. Now, I can look back at my multiplication chart and scan through all of these numbers to see if I see the number 35 again. And I know that there are no other factors of 35. But since there's 1, 2, 3, 4 factors of 35, that means that it is a composite number. So 35 I'm going to drag to the composite number box. 35 is a composite number. So now I'm going to look at number 27. And I want to think about, well, what are the factors of 27? So I just showed you the way that you can use a multiplication chart to see if there are factors of a number, but there is another strategy you can use. If you have a calculator, you can use this to try and see if there are factors of a number. So if I took the number 27 and I started by dividing it by 2, I can see if 2 is a factor of 27. But I get an answer that has a decimal, so that means that 2 is not a factor of 27. So let's say I took 27, now I'm going to try and divide it by 3, and I get a whole number. That means 3 times 9 equals 27. So I can make 3 times 9 factors. I also know that 1 times 27 are factors. And then I can continue with my calculator and keep taking 27 and try and divide it by small numbers. I'm going to try and divide it by 4. Again, I get a decimal, so that doesn't help me. I'm going to clear my calculator. I'm going to take 27 and try to divide it by 5. Again, no go. We have a decimal here that tells me that 5 is not a factor of 27. So 27 divided by 6, another decimal, 27 divided by 7, whoa, another big decimal, 27 divided by 8, I get another decimal, and then if I do 27 divided by 9, I know I'm going to get 3 because here you see I already have 3 times 9 are factors. So we already have that one, 27 divided by 10, decimal, 27 divided by 11, decimal, 27 divided by 12, another decimal. So I could keep going, but I can see that 3, 9, 1, and 27 are all factors of 27. So that means that this is another composite number. It has more factors than just 1 in itself. So now I'm going to look at number 19. What are the factors of 19? Well, I know that 1 times 19 makes 19, but are there any other sets of factors that make 19? I'm going to go back to my multiplication chart. I need to zoom in just a little bit. Okay, that'll be fine. So for 19, I'm going to scan. I see 19 right here. I'm going to drag this out a little bit. So I see 19 right here, but that is 19 and 1, and I already have that one. So I'm going to scan the rest of my multiplication chart and look for the number 19. And I know that if you were to continue to scan this multiplication chart, you would not find the number 19 anywhere else on this chart. So the only factors of 19 are 1 times 19, and that means that 19 is a prime number. All right, so that's just a little preview of the short activity I'm going to have you do for today's classwork. So if you look on slide number 3 in your assignment, you are going to decide whether each of these numbers, okay, there's 7 altogether, each of these numbers you're going to decide, is it prime or is it composite, okay? You do not need to write in the factors like I did here. You don't have to do that. You can just take the number and drag it to the correct box. Is 25 prime or is it composite? And then you're going to do that for each of the other numbers as well, okay? So try and decide whether each of these numbers belongs in the prime box, meaning it only has factors of 1 in itself, or the composite box, meaning that it has more than just those 2 factors.